the? What are you doing?
Okay. Hi everyone. I am here with the developers of Mushroom Kid's Big Grass Sword. Do you guys want to go one by one to introduce yourselves in the game?
I'm John Haley. I'm the project lead game designer, and a programmer for the game.
I'm Amanda Rowe. I am the lead artist.
I'm Dario Ramos. I'm the environmental artist.
My name is Ethan Lin, and I'm actually the audio guy for most of the sound effects.
I'm Liam Armitage, and I'm an environment artist and technical artist.
I'm Twig. I am our lead programmer and QA tester.
Okay, so John, would you want to give us a breakdown of what this game is?
Yeah, so this is Mushroom Kid's Big Grass Sword, a physics-based precision platformer. You play as this little mushroom named Mica on a journey to save their village with a sword that grows. If you've ever seen games like Getting Over It or Deepest Sword, we take heavy inspiration from that, but use the mechanic in a way that tries to be not ragey and more so as a mastery of the mechanic.
Okay.
Our game's very charming and cute, and we have a lot of wacky little guys.
Yeah. Who made this little guy here?
It was commissioned.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Who did you commission it from?
a small company on Etsy.
Okay.
Actually.
Cool.
It's like a
That's
single
very,
thing.
very high quality.
Yeah.
We love our little guy.
So where did the idea for this game come from?
So this started out in a game jam actually for the the game music jam last year that Berkeley was hosting. Their theme was the theme of growth, and I think Twig came up with an idea for a fighter game where the more enemies you kill, the bigger your fists get. And then I was like, what if we make a game where you kill the enemies but your sword grows? Mm-hmm. And that's how this kind of got inspired, where it's like, oh, we just make Getting Over It, but wackier and sword, and also glide physics and stuff.
Okay, so Getting Over It was your primary inspiration then? You'd say?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's a good jumping off point. Do you want to get the demo started?
Sure.
So the thing that immediately has jumped out to me is the quality of the art. You said you were the environment and you were the character artist, right?
Yeah,
So-
character artist.
There's
Yeah.
also
Okay,
environmental
yeah,
art
environmental,
here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you guys have done a fantastic job here. So what is this area we're seeing right now?
This is just the Mushroom Village.
Okay.
Twig's just going through the main quest line that starts the whole journey, which is Grandmashroom. You go up there and she's like, "There's a racket here, and you get some cotton for my ears, Mica, so I don't have to listen to them."
Okay.
And so you can walk around and explore. This also kind of teaches the main platforming mechanics. A big thing I talked with my team about is I wanted to ease people into the platforming so that when they got the little sword, they weren't like, "Oh, what do I do?" And
Oh, that's really nice looking.
yeah.
Thank
So.
you.
Animation.
Yeah, that looked amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's supposed to be our big what a set piece to be like, whoa, actual adventure is going on. And so man, I worked really hard on that, and it's really awesome. But
So where did the idea for the floating hat come from? I think I have an idea, but
I believe it's mostly we had some different platformer ideas. I think it just came naturally from the mushroom
Yeah.
being,
Character design,
yeah,
yeah.
the character design, I think. The gliding allows a lot of leeway, because this mechanic, as you'll see pretty soon, it can be a very tricky mechanic. So the gliding helps players position themselves and just allows it to be a lot more forgiving than a game like Getting Over It, where if you fall, it's over. But yeah, it also just adds some interesting stuff like momentum, movement, and we have some level mechanic ideas for a future thing, stuff like that.
okay. So the sword itself is like a clamber ability then, like in terms of pulling yourself over objects and things like
Yeah.
that. Okay. So what would you guys say, one by one, has been the most either interesting or fun part of working on this project so far?
Don't ask me first. There's a lot to think of. I have a lot to think about.
I think as the character artist and the animator of the team, because a lot of our all of our characters are like mushroom based and stuff like that. All of the characters are based on like real mushrooms, and it was so much fun to like animate these characters and give them life because all these characters are super bouncy and super floaty, and animating them to be as bouncy as possible was like super fun.
Yeah.
Similar to that as the environment artist, I was like really enamored in trying to make it appear small, but also like big and homely at the same time. Something you would feel like you could go and sleep in like a little mushroom bed, a bed of moss, as one could say.
No! Twig! Twig did that on purpose. That's messed up. We have a character there that says like, my friend's allergic to conversations. And if you talk to his friend's like, what have you done? And then he dies. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's. But yeah, that's about what I want to say. I really enjoyed trying to find things that I could add for like levels, houses, stuff like that. So yeah.
As the other environmental artist, since I worked on the cave, I was thinking about potential expandability. So I make sure that the cave looked like it was very vast and it could go really far back. But in case we wanted to go to other levels or other sections, something like that, the cave also doesn't feel like it needs anything else. It's only a part from much other thing, but you don't have to see the rest.
So for me, I'm making appearance again because I'm hidden behind Twig's head. But for me as the sound designer, I think the best part and the most fun I've had is making all the sound effects in general. Because I remember really vividly when I was at the when I was working with these guys right here. I would stand up and be like, guys, I can't find rocks. like, where are the rocks? And I thought it was really funny, but also I got to mess around with a lot of stuff around campus just to find inspiration on naturey sounds and cave like walking noises. And unfortunately, I guess there's no sound here, which unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I was the one who worked on the sword itself, and the current version is, I believe, the third iteration of what we had to settle upon, and it was fun trying to figure out what the exact physics needed to be so that it didn't feel too sluggish.
Right.
And at the same time, everything interacted in a way that made it feel like you were actually like clambering up with this extra limb.
Yeah.
I think I have my answer.
Okay.
One of the main things I really wanted to do with this project, because I've released other games before and I've done other game jams, is I told the team at the start I want this to be a complete experience. I want this to be on Steam. I think going through the motions of trying to figure out like publishing, Kickstarter, like Steam page stuff has been very just a lot to learn, a lot to gather, and I've very much enjoyed like being a part of that process of trying to figure out how to make that complete experience finished and professional. And that's why I very much have enjoyed.
So I guess to flip that question on its head then, and sometimes these go hand in hand, what has been the most difficult part of working on this project? Also, how did Grandmashroom get all the way over there?
She has dialogue for that.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I was looking at John.
Well, you can ask her again.
Oh, okay.
Should we just go in the same order again?
I guess.
I already have my answer.
Oh my goodness. As good as that money shot looks with the bird coming down, the process for making that, I don't draw birds like ever. That was my first time ever animating a bird. And also the program I was using, I use a Pixel Studio for a lot of my pixel art, does not really support canvases that big. So it was kind of like this balance of like, I have to learn how to draw a bird, I have to learn how to animate a bird, and I have to figure out how to do this in this program without it exploding. And after a lot of iteration and a lot of time, it ended up looking as good as it
Yeah, it
does.
looked fantastic.
And I'd be very, very happy that I was able to do that.
For me personally, it's been like an enlightening experience in killing my own ego,
Yeah.
taking in feedback and iteration and doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. But otherwise, I pretty much enjoyed it. And I think it looks great so far, but there can be a lot done to improve it.
Nah, it's beautiful. Love it.
As for me, I've been mainly a 3D environmental artist, so I haven't delved that far into 2D pixel art. So, as you can see, it is mainly just pixel art, so I had to learn a lot of new pixel art techniques and had a bunch of tips from Liam on like a bunch of the environmental art, especially with pixel art.
Yeah.
You actually gave me a couple tips. Thank you.
So for me, as a sound designer, I literally make all the sounds and stuff, right? And so putting that on Godot was a nightmare.
That answers the other question I was going to ask you guys.
Yeah, so me and John decided to look into it a little bit, and I think we spent how many weeks? Like a good 4 or 5 weeks trying to figure it out.
Look,
And-
Godot's awesome. But the audio implementation needs work.
Yeah, but that was a blast, and eventually John figured it out, and I was like, all right, let me just send all of this over. And yeah, but that was a very, very difficult task, especially since I'm a non-coder, so.
Yeah.
If I had to pick something, I would say the sword. As was brought up, this game was built in Godot,
Yeah.
but it was not originally built in Godot.
Is this a Unity game? And then
It used to be.
Yeah.
And then I'm that happened, and then
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
All right. How did the porting process happen? How long did that take?
It was amazing, actually. I feel like it went really well.
I reported most of what we had in the Unity build in a week or two.
Wow.
It was rebuilt from the ground up.
Yeah.
And the documentation was really easy. But when it came to the sword itself, we actually had reached out to the developers of another game sort of like this called Deepest Sword. And they have a similar sword mechanic. And when trying to find inspirations, there's not much documentation on how to create an external limb like this. So we reached out to them, but their game was built in Unity. So I was tasked with figuring out how to create this sword in an engine that I was using for the first time, in a way that no one, to my knowledge, has done before.
Right.
And it took a lot of iteration. It was a lot of fun, but it was also, I feel like my mental stability has dropped a bit since that time. I'm not a math person.
Yeah.
I think for me, a lot of it's like production stuff. Like as a project lead, I managed a lot of the production thing. And I think it was like putting my foot down, where it's like, hello, I want the game to be finished by the end of this.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up, people. You know, like
Yeah.
like being like the bad guy, where I have to go like, hey, I know you like your audio languages, but we need sound effects. or like, hey, I don't want to like, if we paint a whole thing and then the level changes, we're screwed. So it's just like, just having to be that person is very hard, but it has to be done if we want this to be finished. But yeah.
So I guess that's a good way to wrap up. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to add before we close out the stream here?
Check out Mushroom Kid's Big Grass Sword on Steam, the demo. We may do. We're planning on doing a Kickstarter around the end of April. If that all works out, you should go and support that. Check us out. We have an awesome Discord and speedrunning community. We're working very hard on the game, and we're just absolutely loving it, and we hope you love it too.
Thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Speedrunning community was literally such a